dopamine is not a reward chemical. Like we don't do a thing and then dopamine comes in. Like dopamine says, go do this thing. And so like you've got dopamine and testosterone. And if testosterone is low, and then we've got a dopamine system that says you must go do this thing because quick pleasure, because we're starving on the inside in a way of like, usually when we crave sugar, it's because like the mental emotional element of it is because we don't have enough sweetness in our life on a physiologic, there's not enough dancing, singing, sex, connection authentically in those ways. So we go to sugar or drugs. And then there's the where was I going with that? Oh yeah, so then dopamine comes in and says go do this thing so that way you can get fulfilled. But oh yeah, there's also fat. If we don't eat enough fat, then we also crave sugar. Mm-hmm. But dopamine pushes the button and says go do the thing. And I've always gotten this thing of just like you train your dopamine for your best interest. Like people say going to the gym is hard or stopping eating sugar is hard, and it's just because we're undertrained. You haven't done it enough times. You haven't willed yourself to do it enough times to train your dopamine to say, oh, right, going to the gym is in my best interest, not sitting on the couch.
Mm-hmm. Retraining.
Yeah.
Re-addicting.
Yeah, no, I'm all in on that. I think that's an interesting way to think about it. It's just like tell that to somebody who can't put the bottle of alcohol down, you know, or somebody that is nonstop eating candy or, you know, has a ton of grains in their diet or whatever and can't stop it.
Right.
You know, and they're just like subconsciously moving to the pantry to find the next little fix. You know what I'm saying? So it's like a fine line. I love how we're talking about this because I think like the topic of addiction goes like it goes super deep. Like I find myself with the phone not having crazy amounts of problems. Like I'm on it 2 to 3 hours a day, and sometimes it's 5. You know what I mean? And same thing with sugar. Now that I'm not on it for a little while, I think to myself, okay, well I don't need it right now, but then when I do go back, like how much is enough?
Yeah.
Right. And nicotine is a new one for me too. I know we talked a little bit about this. It's like, okay, I like it. I don't need it all the time, but let's see how much I can take and have, and that's beneficial for me without it being a problem. And then crossing the boundary line. Oh wait, 6 zins a day, couple of spliffs a day. Does it turn into a problem? Is it hindering my performance? These are all individual questions that we all have to ask, you know, and like, why do you take on a new thing or you know, whatever like new thing that you start to take on because of whatever reason you're telling yourself. It's like, is it something that you're telling yourself that you need this, or is it something that you really want to do? Is it too much, too less? Like these are all things individually we're all having to ask ourselves. And at the end of the day, is it having a negative impact on our performance? Is it having a negative impact on how we're being as a parent, as a lover, as a friend, or whatever, business owner, right?
Yeah. It's usually, so from what I've seen, the more extreme things get, because it's fun. We can weave in and out, like we can have a 20-lane road and here's where it's healthy for us in this 20-lane road. And we can weave all the way to the edge and do too much nicotine. And we can weave over here and maybe not exercise enough for a little while. And like, and we're fine until the pain picture shows up. And then depending on how deep one is, like I've seen a lot of people where they need a crisis. They need to face that death moment for them. Like I had one client who for a few years where I was like, he was heavily drinking alcohol and not sleeping and not exercising and like not moving enough during the day and on the computer all the time and staying up late and like on his phone and not eating things that are good, like all the things. And like, and he was also seeing me during that time and he was lying about it until he found out he had a blockage in his carotid artery. And so he came in and he's like, I need you to reteach me everything that you've already taught me because I'm going to die if not. And like, that was his death moment of like, and he changed like 43, 44, I think was when he started his like change process. And now he's 45, about to be 46 really soon. And he revamped his entire body by doing all the basics and getting his mind right. Like basically saying, I don't want to die. So therefore I'm going to live in such a way that reflects not wanting to die. And also the dream of wanting, to be healthy and his true self.